All right, let's get it. Contrary to popular belief, education and intelligence are not the same. First, I want to read the standard definition of education: the action or process of educating or being educated. Also, a stage of such a process. Subtext: the knowledge and development resulting from the process of being educated. Next, I want to read the standard definition of intelligence: the ability to learn or understand or to deal with new or trying situations. Sub-definition: the ability to apply knowledge to manipulate one's environment or to think abstractly as measured by objective criteria. So by definition, they are different. But let's go further. Many psychologists have debated on this topic. Depending on who you research, some will argue that one can increase his or her intelligence by education. The opposing theory is intelligence is hereditary, meaning you're born with it and there's little one can do to manipulate it. Like height. No matter what one does, he or she can't increase his or her height. Yes, wearing heels can make one appear taller, but it's just that, your appearance. You haven't increased your stature. So let's look at the 7 different kinds of intelligence. And I know my order differs from what's on the screen. There's musical, visual, verbal, logical, physical, interpersonal, which means relating to others, and intrapersonal, which means self-awareness. Let's start with musical. Of course, someone can be taught to play an instrument and become great at it. That's a check for education. But what about the person that plays by ear? You know what I mean. Self-taught musicians. Let's go to visual. You know, artists, painters, cartoonists, etc. One can certainly take courses and learn how to draw and paint. But what about graffiti artists? What about that person you know that can draw really well and always could? Let's break down verbal. The ability to understand both spoken and written words. In my opinion, education plays a more pivotal role in this category because one's vocabulary may greatly impact his or her ability to comprehend, right? But then how can you explain how some of these rappers who most likely are not college educated, yet they formulate genius type lyrics? Or someone like Malcolm X who was a great orator, but had no formal education. Moving on to logic, which means mathematics / calculations and all things associated. For this example, I want to highlight the business world and making money. Something that we all want, right? We all know that someone can go to business school, and there are tons of them, get an MBA and all that jazz, and become quite successful. Madam C.J. Walker was self-made, never went to business school, yet she was an intelligent businesswoman. Then there's guys like Jay-Z, Magic Johnson, and LeBron, all great businessmen, and to my knowledge, none of them went to business school. Now I know these guys may have gotten a head start because they excelled in athletics or music, etc. But my point is, they transcended into something else. They took their wealth and became great businessmen. Physical. Is there a such thing as physical intelligence? Absolutely. Simone Biles is a great example of physical intelligence. or brilliance for that matter. Her body control is off the charts. Was she taught? Did she take tumbling classes? Most likely. My nephews, on the other hand, they just decided one day to start flipping. I watched these kids practice, and before long, they were really good. I'm talking backflips off of tables, no hand backflips, flipping off the walls, all that. I'm not saying they could compete at an Olympic level, but they were competent. When I was a kid, breakdancing was very popular. And yes, I'm kind of dating myself. Now, while I was never any good at it, I know many that were. Does a Juilliard trained dancer exhibit more physical intelligence than a street dancer? Is one a better dancer than the other? It's completely subjective, right? And then there's interpersonal, the ability to interact with others. Are there careers associated with this one? Sure are. They're called body language experts, counselors, relationship experts, life coaches, and so on. Are there training courses related to these fields? Of course. Have you ever, quote unquote, met a people person? It's pretty much the same thing. Have you ever had bad vibes about someone? And you were right. That's interpersonal intelligence. Naturally, some will be better than others at it, and you know what we call them? A good judge of character, right? And finally, there's intrapersonal intelligence, or self-awareness. That's pretty self-explanatory. You're either self-aware or you're not. Can one be taught to be self-aware? I don't know. Maybe. So what's my point? What am I trying to say? Well, let's go back to the beginning. I think both psychologists are right. I think one can increase their intelligence with some education. Take, for instance, a gifted ball player. Can he not become a better ball player by learning fundamentals? And on the other hand, if someone's not born with talent, no matter how much you teach them the game, they may never become a good ball player. Let's look at this. Would you go to your auto mechanic to diagnose you for a neurological disorder? Of course not. Can your typical brain surgeon rebuild the engine on your car? Probably not. Does that mean one is more intelligent than the other? It doesn't. It means that they have different training. Am I saying one is better than the other? I'm not saying that either. In my opinion, a person can be intelligent without being educated. That's what I was trying to illustrate in the previous examples. Just because a person has an education doesn't mean he or she is intelligent. And for my final example, I'd like to introduce Exhibit A. So if you like the way I think and you find me entertaining, hop over to Patreon and check out some of my original short stories. It's only $1.50 to join. The link is in the description box below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't get FOMO on all future videos. Well, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for your time. Peace.